Hello, my aspiring developer friend. So today I wanted to tackle something that I thought of 2 years ago when I first started off as a freelance software developer. And when I first started off, I was doing really, really small projects. Like they were $500, $1,500, maybe at the most. And it was tough. It was insanely hard to make enough money from that to keep going. Like, it was really, really hard. But even at the beginning, I set off with this intention of I'm going to figure out how to charge by value. That was my goal. I didn't want to tie the money I made to the time that I spent. And I feel that I've finally started to figure out how to do that. It's only taken 2 years. It's taken a long time. But I'm very grateful to be where I am now. At the beginning, it sucked. It really, really sucked. Trying to charge more, trying to charge a lot more was terrifying. But looking at those smaller projects, none of them were useless. And the thought that I had when I was working on those, when I got to the end and I'd been tracking my hours, and it got to this point where I was like, okay, technically my hourly rate on this project was like $15 per hour. And you're like, well, that didn't work, right? That was definitely not what I was going for. But the thought that I had was make it worth it. Make it worth it, Sterling. Make it worth it. And that thought helped me get out of so many negative places. Tons, hundreds, thousands of negative thoughts that bombarded me of, oh, this isn't worth it. Oh, you should just stop now. Oh, you should just give up. Oh, you should not to deliver. Oh, you should cut corners. Oh, you should, like so many things that would pop up during that period of time. And the negative thoughts of just saying, do less. Deliver less than what you promised. Be less than what you said you would be. And that phrase, make it worth it, saved me. Even when I was doing $15, $10 an hour for these smaller projects, because it took me much longer than intended. And the phrase helped me in multiple ways. Here's a couple of them. The first one was me. It helped me be my better self. Now, if you're anywhere into personal development, then you know what that looks like. Striving to be your absolute best self, to become the kind of person who is just better, who is kinder, who is more patient, who is aware, thoughtful, mindful, resilient, right? Make it worth it. Helped me become the person I wanted to be. It's like, what would make this project worth it? It's like, oh, if I walked out of it being better, knowing more, being more knowledgeable about this, so that I can charge a better amount next time, more next time, work out the number of hours that it'll potentially make or take to accomplish a project like this next time. I will make it worth it by recording my journey so that next time this happens, next time I'm presented with an opportunity like this one, I know how to charge the appropriate amount. All right? That's how I, personally, am going to improve myself. The second way that I found that the make it worth it was incredibly valuable and useful was in the libraries and the projects that I put together. Make it worth it turned into, okay, how can I create this in such a way that it is robust, reusable, that I am proud of it, that I can take it and immediately apply it to other projects so that I can charge the exact same amount, but next time it only takes me 1/10 the normal time to create the project. What does that look like? How can I do that? Because that would make it worth it. So asking myself that question, how can I make it worth it? Telling myself to make it worth it drove me to deliver on my promises. And not only to deliver, but to over-deliver for myself, for my future self, so that when I went back to those previous projects, I had them readily available. And when I first started out, I put together dozens of useful, reusable tools that I did start to just reuse them over and over and over and over again. And even though I was working smaller projects, I was moving incredibly quickly. I was moving fast enough that it became worth it. I made it worth it because I decided I would. I told myself that I would. And I asked myself, how can I make it worth it? So I was learning, and I was building up a repository of useful projects that I could reuse on a consistent basis. And then the third way that I made it worth it is I built relationships. I sought to build relationships. And, one of the men that I met at the very beginning of my journey, he's still one of my best friends today. We still send messages to each other back and forth, probably once a month. And that made it worth it. Building those relationships and finding those friendships made it worth it, right? And I wouldn't have achieved that if I hadn't have done the first two. If I hadn't have made it worth it for me by building up my own knowledge and capacity to move quickly. If I hadn't have created this repository, he actually started using my repository of just examples in his own work. And he took them and he copied them and he's improved on them and made them better. And I love it. I was super grateful that I was making it worth it. That I had taken the time to put all that information together, to record my story, my journey, so that other people could use it as well. And so that I could go and just kick off and just move super fast, right? So how are you going to make it worth it? When you start off on this journey of being an aspiring developer, especially in freelance, if you're going out and doing your own gigs, you're trying to figure out how to price and charge things, and you're striving to charge for value instead of time spent, this is going to happen. It is an inevitability. You're going to price a project too small, too low, and it's going to bite you in the butt. Pretty much every single developer I've spoken with who has tried to charge for value has had that happen. It has bitten them in the butt at least once. And many of the people I know turn away because of that. Just know that's a necessary step. You're learning. You know more now. And you can make it worth it. You can make it worth it to you to go beyond that and say, all right, I've learned from that. I can move faster now. I know more now. I've built some awesome relationships because I delivered. I've created another project that I have under my belt that I can use as a resource to spin up similar projects incredibly quickly. And so you've made it worth it. And if you've made it worth it, then the next time you go to charge for value instead of time, you can charge more because you're even more confident in your abilities. You know how long it actually takes. You've got example projects. There's so much good that comes from not quitting, from making it worth it. So, how are you going to make it worth it starting now? Whatever it is you're working on, whatever project or obligation you have, whatever you are required to do, how are you going to make it worth it? How are you going to improve yourself? How are you going to turn that into a project you can reuse elsewhere and spin it up insanely fast? How are you going to build relationships and tie people together in that pit of misery, whatever it may be for yourself? Right? Like, what does that look like? Strive for that. Push for that. Make it worth it, my aspiring developer friend, because that's what will get you to your next level, is consistently making every project you work on, every relationship you're in, worth it. If you've enjoyed this, if you've liked this, drop me a follow, subscribe. I enjoy teaching like this. I enjoy helping people like you. My goal is to help you level up, get to the next level in your career so that you can start charging for value. I want to help you learn how to do that. I want to help you learn how to build faster. I want to help you learn how to create relationships that last a long time. I want to help you learn how to over-deliver so well that customers and clients want to pay you more and will more than happily oblige to pay you more because you over-delivered. This is a possibility. It's possible to get there. I know because I have been there, I am there. And I am incredibly grateful for the opportunities that I've been blessed with. And I want to help you receive those blessings into your own life as well. So, thank you for watching. I encourage you to give me a follow and a subscription. Thank you so very much. And have an absolutely blessed